So this video is going to be about the Marxist view of society, and what I would suggest is if you get a pen and paper, and as I'm going through this and as I'm explaining it and writing down these concepts, you write it down as well, because it will make more sense to you, and then you can use it and look back on it for revision. So Marxists argue that the main source of our identity, or the main part of our identity, is social class. Our social class is the most important part of our identity. And they argue that there are two main social classes in society. So there's the middle class and the working class. The middle class they refer to as the bourgeoisie, and the working class they call the proletariat. So they argue that what determines our social class, so what determines whether you're part of the bourgeoisie or the proletariat, is what you own. So we call this ownership. So the bourgeoisie own the means of production, and the means of production just means the things that we need to produce goods. So the things we need to produce clothes, food, to build houses. And these things are businesses, oil, land, factories, and so on. So the bourgeoisie own the means of production, and the proletariat own nothing. And Marxists argue that this is the source, or this causes, social inequality. And social inequality just means when groups in society, so according to Marxists, the bourgeoisie, have more access to resources, opportunities, rewards than other groups in society, in this case, the proletariat. And this system, where the means of production are privately owned, this is known as capitalism. And this is the basis of the Marxist view of society, or Marxism. So capitalism is the opposite of communism. So communism, the government would hold access to society's wealth, so the means of production, and would distribute it evenly to individuals in society. But with capitalism, only some people, a minority of society, own the means of production. And the proletariat, who don't own anything, in order for them to have access to food and clothes, they need to work for the bourgeoisie so that they can make money to pay for these things. So Marxists would argue that for us to understand everything in society, for us to understand individuals, to understand why they do the things they do, so for example, why individuals commit crime, for us to understand family and family life, for us to understand underachievement and education, we need to look at the way society is structured. We need to look at the way society is organised, which is capitalism. And this view, this belief that we need to look at the way society is organised and structured to understand individuals in society and to understand social problems, or to understand everything in society, this is known as structuralism. So we would refer to Marxism as a structural theory, because it argues that for us to understand individuals, to understand social problems, to understand why people behave the way they do, we need to look at the way society is organised. We need to look at the structure of society. This is also known as a top-down theory, or top-down approach, because they start from the top, which is the way society is organised, which in this case, capitalism, to understand the bottom, which is individuals in society. So we start from the top to understand the bottom, so we call it a top-down approach, or structural approach, or theory. So Marxists also argue that these two social classes, they have different interests. And by interests, we just mean there's different things they want. So what they want is what we mean by interest. So the bourgeoisie, they want profit, and the proletariat, they want higher pay. And Marxists argue that these two things, these two different interests, these cause conflict in society because they both can't get what they want. So if the bourgeoisie wanted to give the proletariat higher pay, it means that they're going to get less profit. And by profit, we just mean financial gain. So they want to make sure that what they are putting into their businesses is less than what they are getting from their businesses. And the proletariat can't give, the bourgeoisie can't give the proletariat higher pay because that will mean that they have less profit, which is not what they want. Remember, they want profit, which is basically more money. So we would refer to Marxism as a conflict theory or conflict approach. And you can use these terms in your essays. So you can say things like, Marxism as a conflict theory would argue this, or Marxism being a structural approach argues that, and then continue. Or you can use these generally in your essays when you're explaining other things, or you could use it in your introduction when you're giving a brief summary of their view of society. So even if the question is about the Marxist view of the family, you can still be using these terms because it's important to show the examiner that you understand their view of society, because then this helps you explain their view of education, their view on crime, their view on media, and so on. So what the bourgeoisie do to ensure they get profit is they exploit the proletariat. So they exploit the working class. And by exploit, we mean they take advantage. And how they take advantage of the proletariat is through low pay and long hours. They do other things as well, but these two are the main ones. So they make them work long hours and give them a little amount of pay, because then this increases their profit, which is what they want. And the bourgeoisie, they're the ones in the position to be able to, get what they want, because they're the ones who own the means of production. The proletariat, they can't really do anything to get higher pay except for maybe protest, but it's the bourgeoisie that have all the power because they have what people want and what people need in order to survive. So the person who argues this, the founder of Marxism, his name is Karl Marx. And what I would suggest now is that these key terms and concepts that I'm highlighting by drawing a box around them, I would try and write a few sentences or a paragraph about the Marxist view of society and see how many you can use. And then you can check it by watching the video again, or if you feel like you need the video for support, you can write these sentences or write the paragraph while watching the video. And if there's still some bits that you don't understand, you can leave a comment and ask me some questions, and I will try my best to answer them.